An anonymous survey in 2015 from the publication of Sports Grind said that 15 out of 16 NFL athletes admitted to using marijuana. This is about 94% of the National Football League using marijuana. Today, I'm going to talk about why the NFL should establish a policy that requires drug testing during the regular season, my plan for change, and why it will work. I'm going to start off with my two main points of why the NFL's drug testing policy does not work. These two main points are as follows. Number one, it is easy for athletes to use illicit drugs because they are only tested once during the regular season. And number two, when misused, marijuana has many negative effects. On to my first point. It is very easy for athletes to use illicit drugs because they are only tested once a year. Not only are they tested once a year, but they're only tested the 4 months during the off season. This brings me to my first sub-point. True New Jersey stated on February 5th, 2014, for players who have not been previously tested positive or been arrested on drug-related charges are only tested 4 months out of the year, all of it during the off-season. For instance, if a rookie comes into the NFL or if just a player has never been tested positive before, then they are only tested those 4 months during the off-season. If an athlete has tested positive before, then they are put into what is called the substance abuse program. And then they are tested on a regular basis throughout the off and regular season. One thing that I want to make clear is the difference between the performance-enhancing drug program and the substance abuse program. According to True New Jersey on February 5th, 2014, the same publication stated, the substance abuse testing should not be confused with performance-enhancing drugs. Year-round random testing takes place in the steroids program, but not in the abuse program. So the substance abuse program are the drugs that we are talking about today, drugs like heroin, marijuana, or cocaine. And the performance-enhancing drugs, which, as they state, are tested year-round, are your drugs like your steroids. My second subpoint is that it's too easy for NFL athletes to use drugs like marijuana during the regular season. According to Sports Grind on June 30th, 2015, they stated, if you are not in the substance abuse program, you get tested once all year, usually during training camp, and then you can smoke all you want all year. So not only do athletes know that they're going to be tested during those 4 months during the off season, but they also know that it's most likely going to be during training camp. This makes it a lot easier for athletes to be able to get clean before this test takes place. Now to move on to my second main point. Marijuana has many negative effects when it is misused. According to the American Journal of Public Health on May 2015, marijuana is the most widely used illicit drug worldwide, with an estimated of 181 million of world's adults using it in 2011. Now, since it is the most widely used illicit drug, many people probably don't think that it has many negative effects. But according to the American Journal of Health Behavior in February 2015, they said, marijuana use can cause increased heart rate. Withdrawal symptoms include irritability, difficulty sleeping, strange nightmares, cravings, and anxiety. Aaron Hernandez is a key example of why marijuana misuse in the NFL. Aaron Hernandez played for the New England Patriots. He was on a $40 million contract, but he was also convicted of murder and addicted to marijuana. A publication on CNN of April 16, 2015, they claimed that Aaron Hernandez was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. He now stands convicted in 2013 of murder of one-time friend Odin Lloyd. At trial, the defense team described Lloyd as Hernandez's blunt master, his procurator of marijuana. Now, another publication from Deadspin on April 6, 2015 said, Aaron probably killed a person or three, but if we learned a second thing from the trial, it's that Aaron Hernandez smoked a lot of weed, a lot of it. But the NFL never caught on. Obviously, we all know now why the NFL never caught on. It's because of their weak drug testing policy. This brings me to my second subpoint of marijuana misuse. Imitation is a key factor of why players pick up or start using marijuana on a team. A publication from Sociological Focus said that imitation is also a key component. Individuals observe other people using and pick up on the drug to imitate others in the league. A clean player that transfers to a using team will most likely begin using drugs. In other words, imitation is something called peer pressure. Now to move on to my plan. I propose that NFL players will be randomly tested at unannounced dates and times. I'm going to talk about where the funding will come from and my plan of action. The NFL will fund these drug testing units. 1,000 urine samples will be taken from random NFL athletes every 3 months. All athletes that participate in the playoff season will also be tested. Now to move on to why my plan will work. My plan will work because it has worked for the MLB. When searching for marijuana misuse in the MLB, I could not find that they had any problems, compared to when I searched for the NFL and marijuana misuse. Of course, I found a lot. Now, the MLB does drug testing, random drug testing at unannounced times during their 3 seasons, and this is during their off season, their regular season, and their championship season. Daniel R. Hallam stated in his joint drug agreement on the MLB, he said that A, each player will be subject to an unannounced collection upon spring training. B, players will be randomly selected at unannounced times. And C, 3,200 urine specimen collections of randomly selected players at unannounced times will be taken during the championship season. My second subpoint of why this will work is that athletes will now not know when they're going to be tested, which will reduce the use of illicit drugs. In conclusion, the NFL only tests 4 months during the off season. Instead, they should also be tested during the regular and playoff season. This is why the NFL should establish a policy that requires drug testing during the regular season. Do you agree? Thank you. Here's it has 42 words. And then